Hey Chris, nice job here. The caricature stands out pretty well on the background, so that's really working well. Um, I like the font though. You may want to look at dafont.com and see if there's any other, fonts that could maybe go, even add more whimsy to this. Yeah, there's so many different kinds of fonts. Let's see, curly. I don't know about that one. Decorative. Anyway, there's just tons of different kinds of fonts that you may or may not want to consider. I mean, I don't mind the font that you have either. I think it looks pretty cool. Let's see, where are we back here? So a few things. I would maybe make this a little bit bigger, just because. Oh yeah, I hardly noticed that shadow. I would think about making the shadow a little bit stronger and a little darker, and maybe pull it to one direction, like this way. Pull it back, like in that direction. I think it would look, it would just integrate more. But I would consider putting all of this, in one layer. I mean, in one folder, and then I think it could be a little bit bigger, just because it's the main highlight. You don't really want this to be about the background. You want it to be more about the caricature. And then you could, take the background and, I'm sure it's cut off, but you could move it down, or you can make it bigger, so it fits up on there. Let's see here. Even like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be. And then again, you can just really start to think of how, what's the best composition here for this this guy here. Anyway, so just, I mean, this is the part of the project that you really want to work on tinkering. So I posted a couple different olives for the eyes in the last discussion, just for some ideas, because I really think that those little flat black things don't really do much. So, you might want to look at some of these different kinds of three-dimensional looking olives, and then you could, kind of add, you could think of something like that. I mean, just try it. I think it might, might make a big difference. It might look a lot, just give it some more interest. And let me see. What else was I going to mention? Oh, you might want to think of doing. Oh, and the that perspective shadow. Just a second. Doing something that's a little bit darker. And if I can post this tutorial, but if you notice how it's, this is how shadows are in reality. They're darker as they're closer to the object, and then they kind of fade out. So that just as a gradient. Mask. So you might want to do something like that. It'll because this is hard to see because it's the similar color and value as the background. So you might want to work with that. I had some trouble with this. I'm not sure what that is. So that's something that could be changed. You might want to get some tongs or something like that that's more recognizable as or a spatula or something like that, or some kind of barbecue tong or something that would look this. It doesn't, I mean, it just, it's hard to see what it is. So, I mean, it looks like a comb to me. So, another thing you might want to think of doing is with these legs, you might want to think of doing something with perspective. So if you go up to, let me make sure, if you go up into the edit menu and you bring down and do transform and do perspective, just kind of play around with what this does. And I'm not saying that, I mean, it takes a little bit of, but you can see how it really can add some perspective, which is going to add some variety. And again, of course, you can always move it and, change the perspective. And I'm not saying that I even like this, so I might Control Z this one. But again, just something to work on, because we've got a couple more weeks. So now this next part is really, it's really about working with these. But again, we can make this, and you can see, oh, I think that looks kind of cool. And again, it just is adding a little bit more variety and interest. Okay, so, and there's other things you could do too, like if you, I don't know, I don't like to, too much of these little effects kind of ends up looking kind of cliche, but you could try like some kind of a little outer glow if you wanted to. I don't mean maybe not yellow, but something. This is pretty low opacity, but again, and things like strokes can work. You can make it really, really light. And this just works, and it often works too to make something stand out from the background a little bit more, like one of these leg things. So that's another thing that you can play with. Yeah, and I'm not saying to use this. You can even do something like add like a little stroke or something too. That often works too. So just like something. Well, I don't even like that really. That's got, let's see how many pixels. That's only 1 pixel. Wow. So you could lower the opacity on that if you wanted to. But anyway, there's some other cool things that you can do. I don't really like that shadow, that drop shadow. But anyway, there's so many different easy things to do just to add some variety. And I think these little leg things could probably stand out a little bit more. Let's see. Anyway, I don't know if I like that either. Anyway, so just some, just some overall kind of thoughts. But I think the main thing too is to work on the eyes, make this bigger, and just redo this shadow, just so it's. And I probably, just for direction, I'd probably cast it over this way, and it shows you how to do it all in that tutorial. Okay, but overall, yeah, nice job. I think it's really making good progress. Okay.